Hello, everyone. We're just going to give it a few moments to let our fellow spiritual seekers join us. And you can let me know where you are if you like. If you want to put your name in the chat box or say where you're located. It's so lovely to have so many of you with me. And I have to just start by saying this is a living, breathing house. And there's going to be some noise out there. I've got a 6-year-old currently on the toilet. So just, be prepared for whatever background noises we have. I think you have to just I have to kind of roll with it. It's a Monday night here in Australia. Let me have a look here. We've got Mel in Perth. Hello, dear Mel. Laomi from Ireland. Hello. Wilpina Pound, Outback South Australia. Gorgeous. Megan or Megan, I think I say it Megan. I think in the US you say Megan, not Megan. Hi, Renee in Melbourne. Claire Barton, hello, gorgeous. Susanna from Sydney, hello, everybody. Hey, Shanae. Oh, makes me feel good knowing you're here. We've got Leah in Perth. Hello, Sophie's in France. How gorgeous. Dinner Plane in Victoria. Hello, dear. Bridget, how are you? Gorgeous. Cynthia on the Sunshine Coast. Beautiful. And Amy's here. My mum and dad are here. Hello. Albany, Gold Coast, much warmer places than I am. Manjot and Robin in Melbourne. Corryong in Victoria. Lasan, hello, gorgeous, from Bunbury. Tosca in far north Queensland, much nicer weather than here. Nadia, hello, gorgeous Nadia. And Terry on the Gold Coast. We've got a beautiful crowd of people here. So thank you for letting me know where you are. I'm in Melbourne. It's so lovely to be here with you tonight. Some of you I know very well, some of you I don't know so well. So I'm just going to let you know what we're here to do this evening and just to give you a little overview of how it's all going to work. So tonight we are diving deep into the 3 immutable Hermetic laws, and that means these laws don't change. There's, according to some people, 7 or 12 mutable Hermetic laws or in total. But these 3 laws are the ones that excite me, because these are the laws that I know from lived experience when we place at the foundation of our spiritual seeking and our life will change everything. And so it's absolutely my privilege to introduce you to these laws tonight. If you do know them, we're going to go deeper into them. If you've never heard of the immutable laws, we're going to have a wonderful adventure. So I'm going to outline the 3 immutable laws, and I'm going to take us on a journey together. This is a pretty special training, because unlike a lot of trainings, I need you here to do this with me. And the reason is because what we create together is far more powerful than what any of us can do individually. And so when we gather our energy together, we exponentially increase the power of everything we do. So even by just joining here together this evening or this morning, wherever it is, whatever time of day it is for you, we're creating a ripple in the field, and we're gathering together with the intention of expanding our consciousness. So I'm going to ask you to treat this like a sacred union. I'm going to ask you to close down your other browsers, make sure your phone's off, as far as possible to ask your family and friends not to disturb you, because what we're doing is really going into the temple. If you don't know, these laws come from ancient Egypt, the laws of Hermes, Trimestices, and these were never written down until the beginning of the 20th century. And it's only then they were published in a text called the Kybalion. Until that time, these laws were handed down verbally. And so what we're doing tonight is initiating. I'm initiating you, but you're self-initiating into sacred wisdom that is ancient and has been handed down from generation to generation. So I would love for you to gather here tonight with that sense of the sacred and to really focus your energy here, because we are setting up something very powerful in the field for the benefit of all. And we're going to begin by going into that sacred space together. Now, if you do have children running around, or if you have, you're at work, or you need to keep your eyes open, that's absolutely fine. We can cultivate that inner sight simply by withdrawing our attention from the superficial world. We don't even have to close down our eyes. It's a lovely luxury to be able to close your eyes, but really to see tonight as a sacred gathering or this morning, wherever you are in the world, and to really feel like you are gathering with your brothers and sisters all over the planet. And together we are sharing the intention to raise our consciousness, increase our intuition exponentially, and to remove all the blocks to knowing ourselves as that infinite, unlimited consciousness. All of these things will take you from having a casual relationship with your intuition to moving into a living, breathing system of intuitive intelligence in which you no longer doubt. You are no longer left wondering whether you can trust yourself, whether you can trust the infinite. We're going to go deep into these laws so that you may begin the process, the central spiritual edict, the most profound statement of spirituality that we can ever master, which is know thyself, and you will know the mysteries of the gods. And that tonight, dear ones, is what we are doing together. So my name is Ricky Jane Adams. I live in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm an intuition expert, and I train women as spiritual leaders. I have the great privilege of being the principal of the Institute for Intuitive Intelligence. And I've been a spiritual seeker all of my life, really. I'm very blessed that from the earliest times that I can remember, this path was made just completely normal to me by my dear mother, who's here with us tonight, the beautiful Angelique. So some of you have the privilege of having spent time with her in the last few days. And what happened for me on my spiritual journey was that I realized that I had a lot of spiritual ideas, a lot of spiritual beliefs, but my life was still in a state of chaos, and I wasn't living the life of my vision board or my dream life. And so I went exploring. And what I found was there was knowledge that I had never been initiated into. There are true laws that govern everything in the cosmos. These are not man-made laws. This is not spiritual dogma that comes from religion. These are the laws that govern the cosmos. These laws cannot be argued with. But when we understand them, we stop wondering why things are not working. Have you ever said, why is God teaching me a lesson? Why is life so difficult? I'm doing my thing. I'm meditating. I'm getting up early. I'm going to yoga. I cannot turn my spiritual seeking into something that is making my life full of ease and grace. And I wanted that. I didn't want to be an angry, fist-shaking spiritual person. I wanted to be living in that high-vibing state that I knew was possible. And it wasn't until these laws and giving my life over to living by these laws that began. So we're going to start. I'm going to ask you to write something down for me, and then we're going to go on a journey, a very short guided visualization that's going to give us an experience of the three immutable laws, and then I'm going to break them down for you. As we go along, please feel free to add questions in the chat box, and if I don't get to them, please forgive me. I'll do my best to keep an eye on it, but we will have a Q&A at the end. I'll stick around for as long as I need to. I want to answer all of your questions because this stuff is so fabulous. And we're going to otherwise really dive into an immersive experiential journey together, because I want this to change your life in the way that it's changed mine. So if you have pen and paper, I want you to take it up now. And if not, you can just answer this in your own mind and hold on to that answer. I want you to write down the biggest challenge that you are facing in your life right now. And go with the first answer. Don't judge it as good or bad. Don't think, oh, I should write something more noble or lofty. Just write down exactly what comes into your consciousness. The biggest challenge that you're facing in your life right now. Good. And now put down your pen, let that go. As I said, if you're safe to do so, I'm going to invite you on a guided journey with me to close down your eyes and follow my instructions and give you a living, breathing experience of these three immutable laws before I even tell you their name. Because knowledge without experience is lacking of wisdom. We don't get the depth and the power until we actually turn our knowledge into wisdom through practice, devotion, and practice. These things you'll hear me say again and again and again. So, if you're safe to do so, closing down your eyes now, take a deep breath in through the nose, hold it for a moment, and exhale out through the mouth. Good. Do that a few more times until you feel your body surrender into your seat a little bit more deeply. Allowing yourself to land in this present moment now, perhaps for the first time in your day. And with eyes closed and breath deepened, you're signifying to your physiology, your autonomic nervous system, that you're very safe. You're moving out of that incoherent high beta brainwave state. Moving into alpha, perhaps even feeling that deep sense of letting go, surrendering of the theta brainwave state. Good. And now taking 2 fingers to the center of your chest, gently applying pressure here. As we go into the sacred space, the sacred temple to be initiated into the wisdom of the gods, of Hermes or Thoth, as he was also known. This wisdom from ancient Egypt that's been handed down verbally for millennia. Feel that sense of reverence as your heart touches your chest, your hand touches your heart in the center of your chest, and your heart expands with recognition. For this is the center of sacred learning. It is the heart brain, that cluster of 40,000 cells in the anatomical heart, meeting the metaphysical heart, the Anahata chakra, that combine to produce the largest electromagnetic field of any part of your physical anatomy. And it is here that we begin to intuit the wisdom of the cosmic laws. It is through the temple of our heart that we gain access to this ancient knowledge. And feel that sense of expansion in your heart area as your electromagnetic field opens wider, vaster, with that sense of gratitude, joy, deep reverence for yourself, for you have carved out the time and space to be here now. To be initiated, to self-initiate. And you may feel as though you're standing now before the temple doors. In your mind's eye, see yourself standing, gathering with all of us who are here now and those who will listen back later on the steps to enter into the temple. And our willingness, our commitment to showing up, even when we had all the excuses of how busy we were, how much is going on in our lives, still we stand here in this place, our souls thirsting, guiding us to the temple doors. And the doors open in recognition of our devotion. And together as a group of seekers, we walk through these vast temple doors into the grand temple of Hermes, Thoth, this ancient Egyptian god. We feel the sense of wonder and joy at arriving in this place. And I invite you now to look around and find your seat, your place in this sacred temple. Go to wherever you are drawn, perhaps looking out onto the beautiful landscape or on a silken cushion in the middle of the temple floor. Find your seat now and feel your energy elevating, exponentially increased in power by our union here together. And lowering your hand to your lap now, take a deep breath in, let it go. And even after you open your eyes, stay present to that inner life, that space that you've cultivated inside of your being. It's always available. And you may choose to listen now with eyes open or closed. It's my great preference never to use slides. So if you're a visual learner, my apologies, I might just write down the laws as we go so you can see them. And that's just like a homemade slide, really, isn't it? So we are in the sacred temple of Hermes or Thoth, and now we're going to learn about the laws. That pen's not working too well. And we're going to learn about the first law now, the law of, it's a big name, and it sounds sort of complicated, but you're going to find out how very simple it is. The law of mentalism. I know that's backward. I don't know if you can see it that way. The law of mentalism. Homemade slides. Who knew? Don't work so well. But if you're a visual learner, I encourage you to take notes, write down as much detail as you like. If you prefer to listen and just watch, then please do that. The law of mentalism states that all is of the one mind. All is of the mind, of oneness. So we can think of that. Thank you, Shanae. Shanae says it was correct. Awesome. It's just a bit backwards for me. All is of the one mind. There's two parts to this idea, and we're going to unpack these. All is of the one mind, and all is of the mind. So we begin with the idea that everything that exists on the mental or spiritual or energetic plane first. It is of an act of mentalism or thought. And I'm not talking about human thought. We're talking here very much about the idea of at this stage that we all exist in the mind of God. And I use the word God quite comfortably. Now, I would love to spend a whole webinar and training and talking about the word God, but I'm going to just break it down very easily for you here. If that word offends or upsets or triggers you, please substitute it for source or spirit or quantum field or the infinite field of oneness or the universal mind, whatever feels comfortable for you. We are speaking simply to what quantum physics describes as that unified field. There is a field that connects all of us, and this is quantum physics. At the time, of course, that Hermes was speaking of these laws, there wasn't the science necessarily that we understand, although who knows really in terms of the evolution of civilization. Yet another webinar topic there. We are all participating. We are all from that one mind, and that one mind is all. And so if we are all with the one mind and all that ever was and ever will be exists within that one mind, we begin to see the functioning of intuition, for example. If we think of intuition as the language that bridges that one mind, that mental plane, and the earthly plane or the material plane, we can understand that if we are all one, we are connected to that one mind, and everything that ever was and ever will be is contained within the one mind. The other part of this law is that everything is of the mind. And so I want you to put down once again the ideas of the psychological level of mind or the human ideas of mind, and instead look to the truth of the statement, which is that all is a mental act. So we inhabit the world through our consciousness. What we imagine is solid, and we're going to get to this in the third law, is not solid. Everything is an act of prepared imagination. So we are pure consciousness, and you can think of that also as pure energy. And it is what happens at that level of pure consciousness that brings formlessness into form. So we are alchemists. We, through an act of mental transmutation, turn pure consciousness into matter. We don't do this, however, mostly at the level of the conscious mind. So if we break it down very easily, we have two levels of mind. There's more than that, but I'm going to keep it simple. The top level of mind that we are aware of is our conscious reasoning mind, and this is the 5 to 10% of the tip of the iceberg above the water. The part of us that we identify with a personality, our personal reality. I like sushi, I don't like jazz, I go out on a Saturday night, or I like to stay in. These things that we have curated to include in our life that we think is the place we're making our choices from. The truth is not that at all, because if that were the case, we'd make really reasonable adult decisions all the time and we'd all be living amazing lives, but we don't. We are functioning at a much deeper level. The subconscious mind, that 90 to 95% below the water, is in fact the place where we are creating from. So when we say that everything is of the mind, what we're primarily speaking about is that unmet subconscious mind. And so the process of awakening our consciousness, of raising consciousness, is literally to bring the contents of the subconscious mind up into plain sight so that we may look at all of the things that we have either inherited or taken on board from our society, from our communities, unconscious biases, all of the beliefs that we have sitting in that storehouse. And if we're going to go right out there, those beliefs also come from our previous incarnations. All of this is sitting in our subconscious basement, and it's all waiting to be met so that we may raise our consciousness up and then return it to the one mind. The truth is, our birthright is to operate from the level of the one mind. And that one mind is, in my belief, the God mind. It's the level of consciousness that we could also consider our higher self. It's not the part of us that is making choices from a fear-based, unmet, subconscious belief system. So our job with the law of mentalism is to look to the things that are really motivating our life, not the things that we think are motivating our lives, and to bring that energy up into plain sight, to investigate what is sitting in our subconscious mind. Because the really beautiful thing about the subconscious mind is it's not just a storehouse of crap. In fact, that's also almost its least important function. What it truly is, what we truly are doing at that level of the subconscious mind, is creating. We are alchemists. So we are given access to that one mind of which we are all a part. Even though we think we're separate, that is the illusion. Our separateness is the biggest lie that we've ever been told. And the law of mentalism, backed up now by quantum physics, is demonstrating and proving to us the truth of what we are, which is interconnected, inherently interconnected, and that beyond even the planet, life exists in union. And that union is how we activate our intuition. So you see, if you put down your fear of being separate, if you believe that the truth of what you are, even if you have to just practice, fake it till you make it, the idea that you are connected to the one mind of God, or whatever word you substitute that for, you may begin to understand how the infinite consciousness, that one mind, is constantly whispering to you the answers to your life. And it's simply our job to remove those subconscious impediments. Always fear, by the way. Our only block between us and our intuition, or us and the God mind, is fear. But that unmet fear we can't do anything with because we don't know it's there. So we must be willing to go and meet that unmet fear. And of course, there are many, many practices that I want to share with you that will allow us to do that, to go and meet that unmet fear. Because until we do, we're just running a program. We're on autopilot and we don't even know. But we have to understand how things truly function, yes. We have to understand that there is a one mind, a unified consciousness, an inherent interconnectedness, the divine matrix, to use Greg Braden's term, that we are all a part of, and that we possess in no lesser power access to that one mind. So we create our lives from consciousness. Okay, we are creating from the level of consciousness, and that means that we have a responsibility to choose carefully. The very beautiful thing I'm going to share with you when we get to the third law is that you actually don't have to worry about your thoughts, because your thoughts are irrelevant. You may have heard the idea that thoughts create things. No, irrelevant. Let's not worry about our thoughts. Even though I'm saying everything is at the level of mind, we're going to understand what actually creates at the level of mind, and it isn't random thoughts. Thank God for that, right? Because otherwise we'd all be screwed. All right, take a deep breath in, Ricky. I've been told I talk quite fast. I'm just going to have a sip of water. I want you to take a moment and look down at what you wrote down as your biggest challenge, and I want you to look at your biggest challenge and ask yourself, is there anything that I have just heard about the law of mentalism that might help me explain why that challenge exists in my life? Perhaps it's my unmet subconscious fear. Perhaps it's because I thought that running around like a headless chook in 3D reality, the level of material plane, was how I got things done. Perhaps it's because I didn't realize that I was connected to all. So how cool is this stuff, yeah? Like, how much is your mind already blown? Every time I talk about this stuff, my mind expands further. Are we having a really good time so far? Because this stuff to me is gold. It's like, this is the alchemy that we were promised when we began on the spiritual path. Yes, Manjoke says, yes, I'm totally with you, Manjoke. It's like, this is how we learn to bring the functioning of the cosmos, the laws of the cosmos into our lives in a real way. Megan says yes, Leah says yes, we're all loving this. It's so exciting, and I'm so grateful that you're feeling it too, because when we begin to embody these truths, this is when we begin to change our lives. Renee says yes, and all the exclamation marks. I love it. Yes, so I'm glad we're all on the same page. Should we go to the second law then? Yeah, awesome stuff. Yes, hubby and I are listening. That's awesome. I think that's what you said there. Hubby and I are tuned in and minds expanded. Yes, Lee says it makes being human so much more fun. Absolutely. Love, love, love. Yes, yes, yes. I'm connected to the all, and we are. So what is it that separates us from that truth? Why is that truth not the paradigm that we're all operating from? Well, the law of correspondence is going to help us understand that. The law of correspondence can be thought of as a law of communication. So we think about the law of correspondence in the statements of as above, so below, as within, so without. Yes, that's the best shorthand to understand the law of correspondence. You can think of the law of correspondence as a communication hotline, and here we really see how intuition is at play in these laws, and why our intuition can be so hit and miss when we're not fully understanding these laws, why intuition cannot be developed by the trinkets and superstitions of the new age, why it's not about pendulums, and it's not about externalized objects, it's not about crystals, it's not about anything that exists at the level of form. We must be willing to meet ourselves, to self-initiate into these laws, to understand how we are functioning in accordance with the cosmos, because there is nothing that isn't. So the law of correspondence is reminding us lovingly that we cannot hold bitterness, unforgiveness, unmet fear, pain inside of us, in that subconscious basement, and expect to see a loving world. So very often we'll say, you know, when things in my life improve, then I'll devote myself to my path of spiritual seeking, or I can't prioritize my spiritual seeking because I've got to do all these human things first. And it's so backwards when we understand the law of correspondence. When we privilege our true nature, which is that we are absolutely one with the infinite one mind, and we spend as much time as we can in devotion to that idea through the law of correspondence, we change that what is within so that the outside changes. Remember, the law of mentalism has already told us that we are mental alchemists. We are able to use sacred psychology to apply this to our living, breathing reality, so that what is within us can only be corresponded to by what is with outside of us, and vice versa. So we can't, Val says, please speak a little bit slower. I will. I'm going to repeat the ideas. One of my favorite things to do is say, okay, so what does that all mean? And we're going to break it down as we go along, but I will absolutely speak a bit slower. I also got to write down my homemade slide for you so we can all read. This one is the law of correspondence. So we are creator gods. The law of mentalism tells us that. We're constantly creating our reality. And law of correspondence. We are no less than the infinite, and the infinite wants to communicate with itself. So we believe we've been separated from the one mind. We're in this dream of separation. But that doesn't stop the one mind wanting to commune with itself, which is us. We are divine perfection made manifest in human form for a small time. And that one mind wants to commune with itself. It wants to correspond with itself. And so that is the functioning of intuition, yes? The one mind that does not know about separation and has not been separated from itself at any level wants to remind itself, this individuated part that believes it's separate, of what it truly is. So intuition is the infinite or the God mind constantly trying to call you and say, hey, how you doing? Do you want the answers to your life? Because I got them. Do you want things to be easy and to flow towards you? Do you want to know your purpose? And what stops that communication hotline that is going on all of the time is the belief here, because we're buying into the illusion of separation, that I'm not worthy to be one that God speaks with. Who am I? Why would God want to speak with me? And remember, this fear is not necessarily sitting front and center of your conscious reasoning mind. It's in your subconscious basement, born over lifetimes of self-doubt. So your spiritual self-esteem, your fear that you are not worthy, is what prevents you hearing your intuition, that infinite one mind, wanting to call you home by saying, hey, let's talk. Let me share with you all that I am. Dot says, I find it interesting that I understood you better when you were talking faster. I'm going to do my very best to make everybody here happy tonight. So we are able to recognize ourself as God, as the infinite. But that will only work when we have put down our limited self-worth, because as within, so without. We simply cannot hear the infinite speaking with us if we do not have any sense that we are that. I am that I am. As above, so below is the other level of this law, which states that we are not waiting for a time when we can return to heaven. We are not waiting for heaven at the moment of our death or when we've attained enlightenment, but that heaven is a state of being. Because remember, the first law states that we are mental transmutation experts. We know how to turn whatever we perceive into something else just by changing our perception of what we are and what we are viewing. So the law of correspondence is inviting you to change your perception of yourself right now, because it's vital that we are no longer living inside a limit to play small. A Course in Miracles talks about this idea of being willing to meet your own magnitude and your own gloriousness. And instead, we sit inside of these perceived limits because of our self-doubt, because of our unmet subconscious fear. So it is vital that we be willing to put down our limited self-belief. And remember, this will also take practice and devotion. I'm not saying you just get to go, okay, done. If Ricky says so, I'm putting it down. Although that is pretty cool. And if you could do that, let me know, because that would be amazing. And I know some of you have taken that offer. And this is the thing about what we're doing together tonight is you're saying yes to your magnitude. You're saying, yes, I want to be initiated into these laws because my soul knows that I am bigger and more magnificent than I have let myself be aware of up until now. So we're really putting down our human sight here, and we're willing to perceive that we are already in the heaven that we have been seeking, and that we are already that infinite, unlimited creature that we are hoping to be one day. It's simply a shift in perception. So the law of correspondence, remember, is the law of communication. And what is within will be without, because it will want to or need to correspond with itself. So here we're going to move into the third immutable law, because this will, I believe, this law is the one that brings it all together so beautifully. I'm going to write that down. I've got one more piece of paper. We're doing good. We're doing so good. Could you just not do this forever? Oh my God. I just just love it. And I hope it's totally making sense to you. Of course, these laws can be studied so deeply, but even in beginning to look at them, I hope that everything is starting to fall into place. And I want you to look at that really big challenge that you wrote down at the beginning and think about the law of correspondence. As within, so without. As above, so below. Have I been holding something unforgiving, something bitter or mean inside of me and expecting my life challenges to disappear? Have I been holding some really big, gnarly self-doubt and expecting to feel really good about things and get the job that I want and have all the money and get all the clients? Have I been breaking the law? And is that contributing to my challenge? So, our third law, the law of vibration. Now, this one is so good. This one is so good because it's basically quantum physics in a law. So remember that these laws have been handed down from ancient Egypt for millennia. So we're not talking about, look, I'm just going to assume they all had quantum physics. Look at the freaking pyramids. Surely there was some kind of tech that we don't know about. But from our perspective, we look at these laws and we say, well, they're heaps old. How would they have known about quantum physics? And yet the law of vibration is quantum physics in a law. So the law of vibration states that everything is in motion constantly. Everything is in a state of movement constantly. In other words, there is no solid matter. This is vibrating particles. This is vibrating particles. You are vibrating particles. And dependent on the vibration, the quality of vibration or the frequency of that vibration will determine how solid looking it appears or not. So we are inside of a vibrating field that just because we can't see it with our naked eye, we think isn't there. So your perception of yourself is limited to your physical body, but the truth is that your field, that your electromagnetic field, and this is just science, there ain't nothing woo-woo about this, is way bigger. The current technology can measure up to 2.5 meters, but that's just the current technology. Your field on a good day could be enormous. And what's going to make your field, your electromagnetic field, either contract or expand? Well, we had the beautiful experience of this at the beginning, and I hope you're beginning to see that guided journey was not just a beautiful visualization to bring us into the temple together. It was actually giving you an experience of all of these laws together. That journey we went on may have seemed like it was only happening at the level of mind, but now we know the law of mentalism states that we went on that journey literally on that plane of the mental state, the mental level or the mind level, the pure state of consciousness. The law of correspondence was that we were bringing something up out of us that was able to visualize and see us participating in that world as above, so below. It wasn't separate from us for a time. We were corresponding with a higher part of ourselves. And the law of vibration states that because of the elevated feeling state that you embodied in that time, that sense of gratitude, that sense of reverence, that sense of, oh my goodness, I'm getting to hang out with all these amazing people and we're creating a ripple in the field and we're changing the world just by being together. You expanded your field. You raised your vibration. And the law of vibration is telling us that the language of the cosmos is not thought. Remember, I said, don't worry, thoughts do not create things. Repetitive thoughts, however, create an energetic or vibrational match. They create, through the law of correspondence, a field that we adhere to or we match. So if we have repetitive negative self-belief thoughts, we create a vibrational imprint or a scaffold that we're then caged within. And it's very hard to break out of that. So when we think about raising our vibration, we're thinking about holding a higher quality or higher frequency of vibration. We're moving from the lower, denser levels of vibration into the higher levels of vibration and feeling states that are high and light, like joy, gratitude, reverence, awe, appreciation, vibe really high. So we are literally able to change our reality, not by thought, as in, oh my God, I have to imagine the vision board. I have to think of all the hot men I want to marry and the cars I want to drive and the clients and keep seeing those. No. We have to learn to cultivate a vibration or a feeling state that is disproportionate to evidence. that is greater than your history, to use Joe Dispenza's idea, but to create something that is disproportionate to evidence, so that you're not looking to 3D reality to tell you how's your vibration going to be today, but that you can cultivate a vibration that will then craft consciousness to behave in a particular kind of way. And that is how we build a new world. And that is how we become masters of these cosmic laws, is that we learn how to train vibration. I just got to look at this chat box. It's on fire. Vanessa says, dancing baby. Yes, says Michelle. AA says, I need the heart button to hit repeatedly. My body is literally vibrating with the truth right now. This is beautiful explanation of what I do for my clinic practice, says Michelle. Thank you for the reminder that I can live this always. Yes, that's it, says Mel. Me too. Leah's saying, wow. Yes, Naomi, I am feeling you too, my darling. Yes, it's so exciting. Like, this is it. Like, these are the 3 immutable cosmic laws. There is nothing complicated about these, but until we are willing to see that these are non-negotiable, so we're going to run around thinking that there's a way to trick the universe or to trick God. It's just not possible. So I want you to look at what you wrote down as your biggest challenge now. And now you've had a sense of understanding, a very beautiful cursory introduction to the laws. We could spend, weeks together going deeper into these, and I hope we will. I want you to look at your biggest challenge and say, okay, could the law of vibration have something to do with that? And just have a little reflection on the laws that we've looked at and say, okay, is there any possibility that I was holding a low vibration in some area of my life and expecting a high vibration result? Was I holding a low vibration through repeating negative self-talk to myself and expecting that somehow something outside of me would come along and change that? That's why I say that you have to self-initiate into these laws through practice, through devotion. I can take you to this knowledge, but I can't turn it on for you. Your devotion, your willingness to apply these laws is what is going to change your life, not just knowing it here. You've got to know it here. You've got to be willing to meet it here in the cathedral of your heart and to anchor into these truths. So I want to open to questions, and I want you to feel free to ask me about your particular life situation. Perhaps you want to talk about the biggest challenge you wrote down, because I think looking at this in an applied way is very, very exciting. I don't know what brought you here tonight. I don't know whether you just wanted to go, okay, what are these Hermetic laws? I want to know more. Or whether the yearning to have a non-negotiable relationship with your intuition just meant that you will take any opportunity to get to know how to clear out the blocks to your intuition. Or whether you've looked at these laws before, but you haven't been able to switch them on. I really, don't know what it is that made you go, I have to be here tonight or this morning or wherever you are and hang out here, because it's going to be different for everyone. But I do know that your soul's called you in because this knowledge is vital and it's an accelerator. So if you are on this spiritual seeking path, as I have been all of my life, then I know it can take, or it can feel like it takes a really long time to get to that next level of awakening, to that next level of consciousness, to feel that sense of ease and grace. But this is the accelerant. This is the thing that will awaken you more quickly, and it will save you so much time on this path. And I have to tell you, we have to do this quickly now. The world is at a critical juncture where those women and men who want to awaken, who can awaken, who are being called into spiritual leadership, who are ready to self-initiate and be self-sovereigning and to stop looking outside of them for the trinkets and superstitions, this is the time. So this program of awakening quickly is really what we all need to do, because the truth is we have done this lifetime game millions of times, thousands of times. We can't say, oh, well, I need a little bit more experience or I need a little bit more time. This is our moment. All of those who are coming together on the planet at this point in time have been here so many times before. And we are needing to be unafraid to awaken really quickly. So I don't know what brought you here, but I'm so glad you are. And of course, you know, I love this training. And I hope tonight feels so abundant and rich even with it. But I do want to take you further. And I want to initiate you at deeper and deeper levels into these laws. And so tonight, officially, we are opening the cart for the Initiate 12-week program, where we will spend 12 weeks diving into these laws and the science of intuition to awaken your spiritual self-esteem, and to pull out all of that subconscious fear program, and to open you to a non-negotiable relationship with that one mind, because that is really what we are entitled to. This is our birthright. And so I want to tell you, you know, this is a time saver. This is the way that you move on that path of awakening so much more quickly. And I love this program. It's 12 weeks. The beauty of this program that we're opening the cart for tonight is that you get to hang out with me for 12 weeks. You get to hang out with me for 1 hour a week in small group mentoring. You get to ask me any of your questions. Whatever part of your life you want to bring into this program, I will work with you on it. There's no other way to work with me unless you do the 3rd level, which is a year. This is it. This small group mentoring is the most powerful way to get your hands on me. And that is, well, it's not quite priceless, but it's worth heaps of money. And basically it's included in this whole program. You get 9 lectures, you get 12 small group mentoring sessions with me, you get you get over 15 practices and workbooks that keep you accountable. You get a community of fellow online seekers who are gathering from all over the world, and we support one another. And this group is incredible. And we are going to continue to grow this community. So each intake, we bring more and more people into this community. And you can say, I have self-initiated into these laws, and we guide one another, because this is a program for spiritual leaders. So all of that, that the small group mentoring with me is worth over $2,000. The 15 practices and the workbooks is worth over $1,000. That the space of the community that we gather together is priceless. And then we have, you have access to me to ask any questions that you want, and very few places you can do that other than the 3rd level. And all of that is available for $1,000, $1,095, including GST if you're in Australia. So please don't doubt the rightness of this. If your soul has brought you to this moment, this is absolutely where you need to be, because this accelerated awakening is what our souls are calling for. It's beyond a superficial spirituality. To be self-sovereigning is to understand and master these laws. So please bring yourself into this sacred temple even more deeply. Don't leave yet. I want to spend 3 months with you, because I know what happens when we get to the end of that journey. It is quite life-changing and quite exceptional. And if you don't want to hear me talk about it, you can listen to a beautiful video of our graduates who speak about their experiences of this program. So that's it. That's my pitch. I love this program. I know this program will be a sellout, because it always is, because it is, it's just what we should have all got, like in prep. This is the knowledge and the wisdom that is going to change our lives. So Tanya says, I remember now doing your last training like this and deciding I just had to do the initiate training, being so excited by your message. It is all priceless. Got some beautiful graduates here. Yes, thank you, Barb. Priceless. Yes, the initiate program is life-changing. Francesca says, do it. It changed my life. Thank you. You guys are amazing. Incredible experience. Do the initiate program. See, they're all still hanging out with me. So clearly something is working. So very excited, says Alicia, to deepen my devotion through the initiate program. Yeah, it is. It's like, it's the antidote to a superficial spirituality, and it's what the world needs right now. Naomi says, my challenge has been to awaken my soul while balancing the 5 kids and home, and get angry, cranky when I don't get my time for my spirituality, then feel horrible for not being spiritual in my daily life, especially to those closest. I can't seem to blend the two. Oh my God, I'm so with you. I was angry a lot, Naomi, as a spiritual seeker, and my apologies if I'm not saying your name right. I found it so hard to reconcile the human and divine parts of me. And I'd be really great. Like I'd go on yoga retreat and I'd be really spiritual, and I'd come home and I'd instantly kind of lose my shit. And I was angry. And I was angry that there felt like this massive disconnection between the parts of me. When I started to understand the laws and recognize that I could create a vibration disproportionate to evidence, that it was okay for me to be cranky, but that didn't mean my vibe had to drop. And of course, then because of the law of correspondence, what that means is you stop being cranky. You may find that you have to let go and the house is crazy and everybody's, a bit mental, but your sense of right action or being in the right place, that sense of certainty with self, means that you're not responding or reacting to the world anymore. You're actually curating or cultivating a response that allows you to stay in that sense of divinity even when the world is crazy. So I love that you mentioned that, because I think the hardest challenge is to be a mystic without walls, to use Caroline Mace's term. How easy would it be like to go and be in the cave in the snow, or up in the mountains, and just like in a cathedral or in a monastery somewhere, and people bring you food and look after you. I could do that. I could do that kind of spiritual awakening. But what these laws do is allow us to have a spirituality in the mundane. And in fact, in my third level, my year-long program, and I should say before I forget that the initiate program is the prerequisite for the third level. So if you are thinking of going on to train in the 12 months to become a contemporary priestess and a spiritual leader, the initiate program is a prerequisite. And there's a very good reason for that, because of course, if everyone coming into the third level has this knowledge, then we have this beautiful foundation to build on. Naomi, I really feel you, my darling. And I think that, it's kind of our challenge, isn't it? It's kind of the contemporary age is the mystic without walls. Lee says, my challenge is when I'm in a loving relationship with another. My intuition seems to shut down and fear shows up. I lose control and move out of the flow when I'm in partnership with another being, when there's a deep love and deep soul connection, when I'm connected to myself without the intense dynamo effect. I'd like to be able to breathe when something magical is unfolding instead of feeling like I'm losing myself. I think that's really a really common experience, because what we know from what we've talked about is that the level of mind that's actually creating your response is that subconscious fear program. So there's unmet fear in that basement, dear one. And it just means that when you get into that intimate loving relationship, and relationships are the best way for us to learn about ourselves, then it's like a panic sets in. The ego sets off a kind of cascade effect and uses the body mind, and we know that then creates all these kind of disruptions to your capacity to think and know or hear or feel your intuition. So it's really about investigating that subconscious program of what is the ego scared of when it's faced with that kind of love, and why is it shutting down your intuition in order to survive. I think that's a really powerful example, but the answer is there in the subconscious. It's just about elevating that out, bringing it out into the mind and returning it to the one mind. Sophie says, as a photographer, I can scan people, but it's not easy to my clients to get paid looking for abundance. I also have to protect myself. Well, we talk about energetic protection from a very different paradigm, Sophie, in this program, because if we look at the law of oneness, the law of mentalism, we cannot survive in a system where we're separating ourselves from other through protection, but we can elevate our vibration, the law of vibration, that creates protection and attracts to us those who we can serve most powerfully, those who are going to pay us, those who value us. One of my favorite meditations to share is the client attraction meditation, because we are able to bring in a quality of person to work with us who is predestined. So before we even came into this incarnation, we agreed to work together, and you turn on your vibration so powerfully that you're like honey to the bee. And then the quality of people who are attracted to you, those who want to work with you, will honor you and pay you what you deserve, and life will come into that flow state again. So once again, it goes back to that understanding the function of vibration to act as a protector rather than separation, which is breaking the law. So the best question for us to ask ourselves in any life situation that isn't working is, how am I breaking the law? We don't have time to go too deeply into this, but one of the hardest things about that for most people is that then they have to take personal responsibility. And we are very resistant to that. We look for the magic bullet outside of us. We don't necessarily want to have to take responsibility, but that's what it is to meet ourselves as God. I'm loving all your comments. Thank you. I'm just working through them. To work with Ricky is life altering. Oh my goodness, I love you. Thank you, Sam. And she doesn't act as a guru. She's the opposite, that we're all the same and have all the answers. Yeah, this is not about me. Like I know some stuff, and I'll share with you what I know, because my teacher archetype is insane and she can't stop teaching. But I cannot initiate you into this. You have to self-initiate. And that is the age that we're in. This is self-initiation, self-sovereignty, self-reliance. When we have these laws, we have all we need to do that. Rani, hello, gorgeous Rani. I feel that I have been stuck and that nothing has changed at the base level since I was little, even though I feel I have won a lot of work. So sometimes I do give up and then I get over it. Good. But let's break that cycle, because things should change, because the law of vibration states that we are in constant motion. Nothing is solid. So there's simply a program in that subconscious basement that needs to be diffused or brought out into the light. And we need to look at what is happening in there that's keeping you in a holding pattern when you're entitled to be, in a state of magnitude. And the answers will be there. It's simply that there is a program in there that is running on autopilot in the background. And it's absolutely going to change, my darling. Renee says, my biggest challenge is this tightness and restriction in my chest and inability to stay present, almost like I'm trying to protect myself and control all my outer world. Any little event in the outer world seems to create restriction in my chest. How am I breaking the law? Oh, my darling, this is a big one, because what's happened now is that the body mind has been trained to have a physiological response. And when we get a physiological response, it feels pretty intimidating, yeah, because it feels like anxiety, or it feels like, something that could harm us. The truth of it is, my darling, it's simply that you have forgotten who you are. And we have to remember that how am I breaking the law is not a personal attack question. We don't use that question to beat ourselves up. We use that question to illuminate a subconscious fear program that's been running in the background that we're now willing to emancipate. So it's not our conscious mind that needs to be fixed. It's the subconscious fear. That belief in separation, that belief that you cannot trust the infinite one mind, that you are not part of the God mind, and that you are alone and therefore have to control is how that law's been broken. So that's a very beautiful and powerful example, because it takes practice to break the habit of that body-mind addiction to that feeling now that has become a subconscious function. When we go deeper into understanding the levels of mind and how we shut down the analytical mind and how we access the subconscious mind, we'll learn some very powerful tools on how to diffuse that bomb that keeps going off in your body and to free you to move into a trust relationship. Leah says, my biggest challenge is my chronic health and conditions that I have. How do I rise above this? Chronic health conditions are a really interesting one, because we can look at that and think, oh, well, this must be a punishment. I must have broken the law. I want all of us to get really clear on the idea that the laws are not karma, okay? So it's not like retribution, like God sitting up there with a scoreboard saying, you were bad when you were 7. So obviously you're going to have chronic health conditions now. What if the fastest way for your soul to awaken was to experience the chronic health conditions that you're experiencing now? What if this is a divine intervention where it was thought, well, given the magnitude of her soul and how amazing and advanced she is, we need to give her a way to awaken that is truly epic. And so what if we could surrender? And I'm being playful with this, Leah, and I hope you understand that I say it all with love, because I don't in any way mean to undermine what it feels like to live in that state that you live in. But what if we could surrender our judgment of good or bad? Because to say, where have I broken the law, is not to say, where have I been good and where have I been bad? Remember, this is not human moral and ethical instruction. This is absolutely about how am I willing to see where I have rejected or resisted my infinite nature, and where am I willing to bring that truth into me? So the law of vibration would state, my darling, that to forgive the conditions of your life, to forgive your health situation, to fully get on board with it, and to absolutely say, this is how it is today, maybe the fastest way to alter your life, and to actually allow yourself to come into congruence or into correspondence with a much more peaceful vibration. Okay. I'm going to have a little look through. Cynthia says, yes, chronic health challenges have led to awakening for me. Absolutely. It's surrender of judgment. And it's so hard when we're experiencing things that feel like they're restricting our life. Laura says, these laws are new to me, but you are right. The knowledge is vital. I've moved from a place where I was happy and things felt easier. Now I'm a firefighter. I feel like I'm being picked up and shook. It is now comical how much is going wrong. Exploding toilets to being sued. Is this what I need to be doing? I feel like I'm being pushed out of this new city, but I don't know where to go or why. I've spent enough time crying and asking for help, but all I got was the realization that I'm going to have to fix this myself. But maybe I broke the law. But what if they're not, mutually exclusive? Fixing this yourself means recognizing what you truly are. Remember, it's know thyself, and you will know that you are the gods. You will know how powerful you are. For you, my darling, I would simply look at where are you trying to convince yourself of something? Where could you surrender a little bit more and let go a little bit more? Where can you just get on board with what is? Once again, as we were saying to Leah, just put down all judgment right now and say, okay, this is the way it is right now. This is what it is. And in that surrender to what is, we open the communication channel again. Remember that the infinite is trying to correspond with itself, because that's what it does. It wants to commune with itself. And that breaking of the law is simply that your belief that somehow this is a punishment, or somehow that you've done something wrong, or you made a wrong choice. All of that is keeping you away from the truth of whatever this particularly volatile moment in your life is offering you. But it's only by putting down human judgment and human side and surrendering into the cosmic laws that we're able to access that level of understanding. Donna Marie says, chronic health, all caps. Since communicating previously, Ricky Jane, I'm now free of chronic post-traumatic stress. That sounds simple. Believe me, it is far from that. And yet it is still easy with the right therapist. And that was right for me at the right time. Absolutely. It's definitely a process, and I'm trying. Thank you. My life has changed hugely. Massive awakenings, beliefs and shifts, says Donna Marie. Rachel says, hello, gorgeous. I have cherished every moment of being trained as a priestess of consciousness by you, my dear mentor. Do it, ladies. You will never regret receiving Ricky Jane's guidance and wisdom. I think Rachel's a pretty significantly glorious human being, but I am deeply grateful for your beautiful words, my darling. And Renee, Samantha says, I've been asleep for so long. It's taking me ages to reverse my thinking in a continuous process, but I'm getting quicker at pulling myself back into who I really am. Yeah, I think it's that idea that this is, saying, how am I breaking the law, is not the same as saying, I've messed up, I'm being punished, I'm a bad person, God's going to smite me down. This is about self-sovereignty. It's about recognizing that everything is serving you. There is so much more I want to go into, and there's so many more aspects to this that I want to unpack with you, but we can do that together. And I'm so delighted that we are going to have that opportunity for those of you who choose to walk the path of the initiate with me and to self-initiate into this wisdom. There's a lot of different things that you can train in on this spiritual path. There's lots of different programs you can do. There's lots of things you can buy. There's lots of, classes you can take. But unless this is at the foundation of your being, you're just building on a faulty foundation. And that's not to say those things are bad. It's just that we cannot put man-made dogma and belief into our life and think that it's going to have the power that cosmic functioning has. We have to know these laws. I'm just going to have a quick look back here again. Blair says, how much does the past life influence being stuck? I was born with a few congenital birth defects, all of which are corrected. I've read somewhere that this could be the soul needing to learn humility. Is it possible that the past life can also contribute to feelings of unworthiness? There's two big questions in there. Yes, your past life experiences are absolutely influencing now, because remember that in the law of mentalism, all is of the one mind, all time, all space. And in fact, we could argue that all of our lifetimes are happening concurrently, but let's not blow our minds too much. But there's no actual past life. It's just in the human construct of time. So we, as a soul, go on multiple journeys in Earth School to awaken to the truth of what we are. So absolutely, you know, everything that we've lived is influencing the way that we interpret reality now, which is why our ultimate end goal is to raise our consciousness back up to the one mind, beyond all belief in separation, including separation of multiple lifetimes. In terms of being born with congenital birth defects as a lesson in humiliation, or sorry, humiliation, those two words are often conflated. My feeling is no. My feeling is that we are here to learn humility. Absolutely. Humility is the only way to understand power, because the paradox, the spiritual paradox is I am everything and I am nothing. And when we can be comfortable with the paradox, when we can sit in the mysteries, when we can't necessarily resolve why did this happen or why did that happen, but we trust God or we trust the infinite, that's where we start to move into a state of grace. And that grace is the birth of our power, because that's what God feels like to experience that. So I would be very cautious of taking up any ideas of this means this or this means that, but rather that everything is serving us to awaken. Everything. You know, when I was a teenager in high school surrounded by all these beautiful girls, I had the worst acne ever, and I was so greasy, and I had braces, and I have no doubt that that experience was a profound opportunity for me to understand beauty beyond physical form and to learn humility in my own life. But I don't think that happened because I deserved a karmic retribution where in this lifetime I had to have acne. I think it's simply about everything we can awaken through. We can awaken through anything. And if we are primed by these laws to look at our life, we will look at everything and go, yep, how am I going to take this and awaken? How am I going to hold a vibration that is greater than the external evidence and awaken through these experiences, just life happening, to the deeper purpose and meaning of my life? Okay, so when and where is the training and how do I pay? All my favorite questions. The training starts on the 7th of September. The cart officially opens tonight. I have to tell you that the program is running at $400 cheaper than the last time we ran it. It's $1,095, including GST. That's Australian dollars. So if you're in another country, you've probably got a great currency conversion advantage. You can go to instituteforintuitiveintelligence.com/initiate me. I can show that to you if you like. I think I can share my screen with you. And then we can have a look at that. Oh, there's my cute kids. There's my cute kids. Let me find my screen. Here we go. So the Institute for Intuitive you can go to just initiate me or Intuitive Intelligence Initiate Program, but just going to that website, you'll find everything you need to know. There's a beautiful promo video. I'm really tempted to share it with you because it's so gorgeous and there's so many gorgeous women and men in it. And all the information you need is there. And you can choose to, let me just find you guys again, do a payment plan. So you can do 3-part payments or you can pay up front. And yes, oh, thank you, Shanae. Shanae, just get her to follow you everywhere because she's amazing. There is the hyperlink. Thank you so much for doing that. Yes, we're not being judged, we're being loved, absolutely. And any questions you have, you can email me. I'll give you my personal email address, which is principal@instituteforintuitiveintelligence.com. Send me an email and I'll answer any questions you have. The cart is open for 10 days. It closes on the 31st of August, so technically 11 days if you count tonight. And the program includes, it should be 9 small group mentoring sessions with me. We're capping this intake, so there will be a small group set up. You'll get lots of time with me, lots of opportunity to ask questions, but I'm actually running 12 small group mentoring sessions because they're so much fun for me. And I really do love the questions. Where we go with this stuff is so mind-blowing and so beautiful. And it is the prerequisite for the 3rd level. So if you are considering the January intake of the 3rd level, then this will be your only chance to do the fully guided initiate program with me and get to know me and really work out if this is the right place for you and if this feels like the next best step for you. And yeah, I'm so grateful for everyone being here. How much fun was this? Like, so fun. And we're just going to go deeper and deeper, and we're going to really give ourselves the very best opportunity to turn this knowledge into wisdom through lived experience. And yeah, I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you so much for being here, and please email me your questions. Thanks again to Shanae for sharing those links, and you will receive the recording of this tomorrow with all of the links, and you have 10 days to join this beautiful intake. Will begin on the 7th of September, and everything's recorded, so if you can't make things live, you will get the recordings, and we have a great platform. Oh, Noreen's here too. All these gorgeous people. Thank you so much. Mwah, mwah. Thank you, everybody. That was so fun. See you later. Have a lovely evening or morning wherever you are. Bye.